In the headlines, INEC asks IJP to probe prosecutor Adamawa wreck. Court reinstates Ararume as NNPCL non-executive chairman. Aviation unions move strike to international terminal, cause heavy gridlock. And on the international scene, death toll in Sudan rises to 200 as 1,800 wounded as crisis continues. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. And now the news in full. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Tuesday resolved to write the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, to probe and prosecute 8 resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari. The electoral umpire reached the decision when its national commissioners met at the commission's national headquarters in Abuja on Tuesday over Adamawa's supplementary governorship election. The decision of the electoral body is coming barely 24 hours after it directed Ari to stay away from all activities of the electoral umpire and the election in the state. The INEC rec had on Sunday stirred controversy when at about 9 a.m. he announced Aisha Binani Tahiru of the All Progressive Congress APC as winner of Saturday's supplementary election over the incumbent Governor Ahmadu Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party PDP. INEC had immediately summoned Ari to Abuja and declared his announcement an invalid declaration and an usurpation of the powers of the collation and returning officer. Before the collation exercise was suspended on Saturday night, results from 10 local government areas had been announced, and Binani was trailing Fintiri. The collation of results from the remaining 10 local government areas was expected to commence by 11 a.m. on Sunday, and Mele Lamido, the returning officer for the Adamawa governorship election, was not present when Ari announced Binani as the winner of the election. According to the Constitution, Lamido is the rightful official empowered to declare the winner of the election. Candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Aisha Binani, has filed an ex parte motion before the Federal High Court of Abuja, seeking the leave of the court for a judicial review of the administration of INEC on 16th April in respect to her declaration as winner of the Adamawa State governorship election. The senator is also praying for an order of the court prohibiting INEC and its agent from taking any steps towards the declaration of the winner of the election pending the determination of her application for judicial review. In the grounds under which the application is brought, the senator stated that after the collation of results, INEC, which she sued as the first respondent, declared her as the winner of the elections, but the People's Democratic Party PDP and its candidate, Governor Ahmadu Fintiri, who was sued as the second and third respondent, resorted to fighting and causing a public disturbance which led to the beating and malhandling of an INEC staff. This crisis, she says, led INEC to cancel the initial declaration, which it had no power to do, as only the Election Petition Tribunal is vested with such powers. By cancelling her declaration, Senator Binani contends that INEC usurped the powers of the Election Petition Tribunal, which is the only court vested with powers on a declaration from the conduct of an election. Members and supporters of the All Progressive Congress have celebrated what they describe as the victory of their party in the Adamawa supplementary election. On the other hand, members of the People's Democratic Party have called on the INEC to resume collation of results and follow due process to announce the rightful result of the supplementary polls. Salis Lawan captured both moods of both parties, of course, and files in the report.
Following the suspension of collation of results of the Adamawa governorship supplementary election by INEC, various groups under the auspices of the PDP supporters group protest peacefully in order to drive home its demands. The groups gathered at the Fresh Air office along Bang Road, and with a proper briefing, the protest began. It was a long walk to the INEC office where the State Coalition Center is situated. Deputy Director of the PDP Governorship Campaign Council, who doubles as the leader of the delegation, Felix Tangome, led the process. He expressed disappointment of the PDP over recent developments.
What you are seeing here is not only PDP, there are other parties that are involved. What Adamawa people are demanding is that they want the coalition to continue as INEC has directed, so that there will be peace in Adamawa State. Because people are not happy, people are disappointed with Hoodoo and those in support of Hoodoo. Our worry is that while Hoodoo was perpetuating this illegal action, those that are supposed to enforce the law were sitting there with him, and they could do nothing about it. It is shameful, it is illegal, it is a treason, it is condemnable, and these people should be sanctioned and accordingly prosecuted.
Despite the nullification of results and suspension of coalition by the INEC headquarters, the APC enthusiasts also celebrated what they deemed was a victory.
To celebrate the victory of our gubernatorial candidate, which was announced by INEC. So we have come here to thank our people, the people of Yola North, for supporting APC and supporting our candidate, the winner of the gubernatorial candidate, Senator Binani, for all their support.
But the drama has moved beyond Adamawa, and all eyes are on the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission to see what develops. The twist to the story is the court case filed by APC candidate Senator Aisha Binani. Silas Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Apart from the main actors identified that all contributed to the drama in Adamawa State, there are others that played roles behind the scene. For instance, who were those responsible for the INEC National Commissioner who monitored the elections in the state? What are the legal implications to all actors caught in the web of events? In this report, Kende Amodu speaks to Emmanuel Njoku, Director, Democracy and Governance, Connected Development Code, in an attempt to tease an answer, out of these questions. The report.
The drama coming out of Adamawa State shows the high-stake nature of politics in the state. At the height of it all, the resident electoral commissioner in the state hijacked the process from the returning officer and announced results of the supplementary elections even before the process was concluded. The resulting shockwave resonated across the country. In a bid to do damage control, INEC suspended the resident electoral commissioner and asked him to stay away from its premises. But is this enough to repair the damage done to the electoral umpire's image?
The controversial rec who has been asked to stay away from the conduct of suspended exercise, I think is a step in the right direction from INEC. I mean, in previous elections before now, I never knew that INEC even have the powers to suspend, their recs. This is the first time we are seeing this, as we saw in the February 25th elections. But I'm sure Nigerians and citizens generally would expect more punitive measure or sanctions on this rec, who completely went. This is the newest law that we will ever see in the INEC and conduct of elections in Nigeria. But then again, I figure that INEC is not a law enforcement agency. and I doubt if they have the powers to actually even take actions beyond what they have done.
In the ensuing melee, the INEC had raised alarm about its missing national commissioners. A video emerged online of one of the commissioners, apparently beaten up by political thugs, being interrogated by some persons. There are indications that the interrogators may be stalwarts of the People's Democratic Party, and thus this may have been a case of mistaken identity. But is this how low politics has sunk, that a renowned scholar was brutalized in this manner?
What this Adamawa reg did was really, really, really terrible. I can see the effect of it and the mob attack on the INEC National Commissioner that was sent to the state to supervise the process. Talking about Professor Abdullahi Zuru, he probably could have been killed in this process because people thought this was the reg. You know, that goes to tell you the effect, the many effects of such very irresponsible actions.
Going forward, there are relevant questions to ask, one of which is what are the legal implications of the actions of the resident electoral commissioner, and most importantly, what should be done to Aishatu Binani, who read an acceptance speech from a flawed declaration of results.
I don't think there's any legal implication of INEC suspending the collation process. INEC voided the declaration by the reg, which was wrong, but that does not mean that INEC voided the ongoing collation. They simply suspended the collation and asked every person to come to Abuja. I understand that about 10 local governments had already been collated at that time. INEC simply said, okay, hold it there, come to Abuja, let's look at all of these things again. And probably, so I want to believe that collation of the election will go on. It will be very shameful for us to have an inconclusive election declared inconclusive again.
These are questions which will be interrogated in the following days. Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court Abuja on Tuesday voided the removal of Senator Ifeanyi Ararume on non-executive chairman of the board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. In the suit marked FHC ABJ CS 691/2022, the former senator had asked the court to determine whether, by the interpretation of Section 63, subsection 3 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, the president could lawfully remove him as non-executive chairman of the NNPCL for any reason outside the provisions of the law. He also asked the court for an order reinstating him and restoring him to his office with all the rights and privileges of the office of the NNPC non-executive chairman. Ararume had asked for 100 billion naira as damages caused him in the alleged unlawful and unconstitutional way and manner he was removed from the NNPC board after using his name to incorporate the entity. The court on Tuesday voided his removal, restored him to his office with all benefits, notified all decisions that were taken by the board of the NNPCL in his absence, and was awarded 5 billion naira damages. A federal high court in Abuja has barred the People's Democratic Party (PDP) from suspending or expelling Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State and state executive members of the PDP in Rivers State over alleged anti-party activities. In his judgment, Justice Inyang Ekwo held that the fears of Wike and other members of the PDP were well-founded, and that suspending, or expelling them will amount to the breach of their right to freedom of association. The judge, therefore, stated it is in the power of the court to grant redress to persons who have well-established acts that would amount to the infringement of their rights. The judge said members of the political parties cannot be suspended arbitrarily with compliance with the political party's guidelines. Wike and 4 other PDP governors, known as the G5, had openly campaigned against PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar in the February 25th poll. Security operatives have taken over the venue of the protest by aviation unions, who commenced a 2-day warning strike on Monday. The protest ground near the Murtala Muhammad Airport General Aviation Terminal, domestic terminals in Lagos, was barricaded on Monday, thereby grounding vehicular movement on Airport Road while passengers had to trek to the airport. The unions, comprising of the National Union of Air Transport Employees, Air Transport Service Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Association of Nigeria Aviation Professionals, and the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Employees, are demanding the implementation of the conditions of service for workers of the aviation agencies. Members of the unions who protested across major airports in Nigeria on Monday had vowed to continue on Tuesday. You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, we'll take a look at the reflection of the importance of Ramadan. Stay with us.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
And now, this service will finally be recognized.
Come May 17th this year, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather at a hotel and suites for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and excellence in the broadcast media. Voting starts on 20th April and ends on 4th May 2023. Visit www.tnbawards.ng to vote now. They've served and they're still serving. It's time we say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Trust TV News Update, and here is a recap of our top stories. We brought you INEC asks IGP to probe prosecute Adamawa wreck, and court reinstates Ararume as NNPCL non-executive chairman. Now moving on to more stories. The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's headline inflation rate increased to 22.4% on a year-on-year basis in March 2023. This is according to the NBS Consumer Price Index and Inflation Report for March 2023 released in Abuja. According to the report, the figure is 0.13% points higher compared to the 21.91% recorded in February 2023. It said on a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate in March 2023 was 6.13%, higher than the rate recorded in March 2022 at 15.92%. The report said the contributions of items on the divisional level to the increase in the headline index are food and non-alcoholic beverages at 11.42% and housing, water, electricity, gas, and auto fuel at 3.69%. Others are clothing and footwear at 0.69%, transport at 1.43%, furnishings and household equipment and maintenance at 1.11%, and education at 0.87%, with health at 0.66%. Clerics have called on Muslim faithful to be steadfast in praying for the betterment of the country. They made the call during the midnight prayers at Al-Nur Mosque in Abuja. Kabir Lawal reports.
The prayers, which started in the early hours of Tuesday, are a reflection of the importance of Ramadan as the most holy month in the Muslim calendar. The prayer is one of sober reflection and forgiveness. Clerics at the Al-Nur Mosque say the last 10 days of Ramadan are usually regarded as more important in the holy month as a result of the abundant blessings that comes with the holy month, coupled with the majestic night that makes the month even more significant.
And we're here actually to make sure that inshallah we benefit from it. And all your things, are given and people expected.
The clerics further called on Muslim Ummah to pray for the country, saying the month ushers in blessings and forgiveness which go a long way to improve not just the way of lives, but also has abundant blessings.
We expect to witness the night of Laylatul Qadr. And in that night, it is expected that it is a very significant night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises to forgive all those that have witnessed that their sins that have passed. And if in the process one happens to live through, inshallah, it gets into Jannah.
Faithful expressed happiness for witnessing another last 10 days of the Ramadan, adding that the days bring joy and enable them to be steadfast in prayers.
Our spiritual status is very high, alhamdulillah. And we hope Allah accept our prayers and dua. And I hope the best for this country and my home country and for my friends and my parents.
And especially these last days, Allah said, increase your dua. It's the most precious 10 days of the month.
In the last 10 days of Ramadan, it's been recommended that we should search for the night of power, which is the night of Qadr. That night is supposed to coincide with when the Holy Quran was beginning, the revelation started. So every Muslim try as much as possible. We do a lot of act of ibadah during the whole entire month of Ramadan. But in the last 10 days, there is special dedication by all to observe that prayers and the act of worship so as to benefit, from the day that it will coincide with the night of power.
Alhamdulillah, that we can only use this time around to pray for the entire world, for peace to reign on all the Muslim Ummah and the non-Muslim Ummah in the world.
So this is the month of Asasa, the month of Ibadah, the month of forgiveness, the month of so many things that ask Almighty Allah will do for this month, because this month people used to forgive each other, people do Ibadah, people do so many good things in the month of Ramadan.
So we're all here seeking for Allah's rahmah, favor, and as you all know, we're equally praying for the peace and security of Nigeria.
This year's Ramadan fast is expected to be rounded off on Friday, April 21st, 2023.
Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, in health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says no fewer than 1,336 suspected cases of cholera, including 79 deaths. The states are Abia, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Cross River, and Ebonyi. Others are Kano, Katsina, Niger, Ondo, Oshun, Sokoto, and Zamfara. The NCDC, in its situation reports on Monday, said out of the suspected cases since the beginning of the year, the age groups of 15 to 24 and 45 years and above were the most affected for males and females, respectively. It said of all suspected cases, 53% are males and 47% are females. The NCDC said the National Multi-Sectoral Cholera Technical Working Group continued to monitor response across states with a view to address the spread of the disease. And now from the international scene, fighting between, the army and paramilitaries in Sudan has killed around 200 people and wounded 1,800, damaging hospitals and hampering aid after days of urban warfare. A weeks-long power struggle exploded into deadly violence on Saturday between the forces of two generals who seized power in a 2021 coup. Sudan's Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who commands the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Analysts says the fighting in the capital of the chronically unstable country is unprecedented and could be prolonged despite regional and global calls for a ceasefire as diplomats mobilize. The European Union's ambassador to Sudan was attacked in his home in Khartoum on Monday, the bloc's top diplomat Josep Borrell said. Battles have taken place throughout the vast country and there are fears of regional spillover. The conflict has seen airstrikes, artillery, and heavy gunfire. Those compelled to venture out fear queues for bread and petrol at outlets which are not shuttered. Residents are also dealing with power outages. The terrified residents of the capital are spending the last and holiest days of Ramadan watching from their windows as tank rolls through the streets. Building shakes and smoke from fires triggered by the light or the fighting hangs in the air. And now in sports, Manchester City have submitted a planning application for a £300 million expansion of Etihad Stadium. The club wants to increase the current capacity of 52,400 to 60,000 by expanding the North Stand. Proposals include a sky bar overlooking the pitch and a stadium roof walk experience. A 3,000 capacity fan zone, new club shop and museum, and 400-bed hotel have also been proposed in the application to Manchester City Council. The planning application follows a consultation with fans and the local community. City says the proposal represents more than £300 million investment into East Manchester and could create 2,600 jobs, with priority of for people from Greater Manchester. There are also plans for new office spaces for businesses that want to work in the collaboration with the club and their partners. In August, City announced discussions were in a primary phase to expand the two-tier North Stand to 3 tiers, but their planning application proposes to expand the single upper tier above the existing lower tier. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust TV News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.